to get inside. If I can exist in here and here, then I know I'm doing a great job. So that's what we've been working on right now. We've been doing a couple different variations. So we can go in either into the dive. So what I'm doing through here is, as I'm pulling his leg, I usually give him a little push first because I know he doesn't want it to collapse. And then as soon as it opens, I can already feel it right now. His shin just went from below my rib cage, and as soon as I opened, I just felt it shift to where now it's literally on top of my ribs. So now from here, rather than, if I continue trying to drive in, there's no way I'm gonna make it. So when I open through here, now I'm literally turning my body like I'm going to the wall. So right here, I've already made the connection to my ribs. So as I turn my core, now my body's literally starting to go to the inside of his knee. I'm looking towards the wall, and there's his hip for me to make my dive to get inside. Then that's when I come in for my gunslinger, push the leg. Again, from here, I yank my leg, but I do not anticipate my leg actually becoming free, okay? So when I'm here and I hit my gunslinger, that's all I anticipate, is for the tip of my knee to become exposed. Once I get up on top, notice right here, you cannot see his waistband, okay? So once I get up on top, I lean all my weight to my right leg, and then I just swung my left knee underneath his butt, and so now you can see I'm not on his waist at all. Right now, actually what he's feeling is me sitting on top of his thigh. I'm not sitting on his hips. At this point in time, I know the biggest threat he's got is getting those legs back in the game, and I'm literally sitting on his legs. My shin, not very comfortable, is it? On the inner thigh, right now on the base leg, and then it's getting pinched by the upper leg. My weight is literally on my right knee and right shin, and you can see through here, I mean, my left leg is just kind of floating, okay? Through here, I'm more concerned about my left hand, not my right, because right from here, as soon as he starts to push on my legs, my right hand needs to come in and needs to start stripping and getting his arms out of the way. So as soon as he starts to push, I usually target the top, pull it, and then shift my weight to then get into his shoulders to pin, go for my gift wrap. From here, let's go ahead and set into our traditional gift wrap. Then from here, I can go into my back take. Then that puts man on top. So half guard, knee shield engaged. So it gives the little push. And again, from here, the moment he starts to come up, his chest is gonna slide to the inside to collect that space. Instantly to the gunslinger, pull that knee. Again, do not anticipate the knee clearing. Anticipate the knee will clear, but not the ankle, okay? We're gonna drive as forward as possible, and then he's gonna keep that knee on the ground, and he's gonna climb that knee slightly to my back. So that as I start to push, that's what he's anticipating. Gift wrap. From here, see how I just climbed that knee up to the top, like he's gonna go into a technical mount. And then from here, he can pull me in and secure the back. All right, let's go back and forth. 1, 2, 3. To get into that same quarter guard or 3/4 mount, yet again, I do differentiate between the top and bottom positions. I find that it's a mental shift that is important in the game. Matt needs to be playing guard, okay? That's his job. He's on bottom. I do not need to be playing guard. So my whole thing is I've stopped thinking about his position and started transitioning into my position. Once I'm in half, what does half imply?
50-50.
50-50. He's got some, I got some. So why would I instantly get into position and go, oh man, I better now fight because he has half. And then I'm fighting to struggle to keep and fight against his half. It makes no sense to me. I am in a top position. Again, I'm not saying he's not dangerous. He is dangerous from bottom. But let's look at the position. That's why I would always argue it's not 50-50. Okay? He is pinned between the floor and me. Where am I? I'm on top of him. So I have him on one side. What's behind me? Okay, we're not equal. He is sandwiched between the rock and the proverbial hard place, and I have a threat in front of me, but where's the threat behind me? Okay, we're not the same. So I'd always argue that although we call it half guard, it's a 60-40 at least. Okay, and then it's going to come down to, and that's just a position, but then it is going to come down to, what does he bring to the table? What do I bring to the table? And I have found that for my own, if I stop playing the position as if I'm trying to defend, again, we're half. I'm not trying to defend to hold what I have. I am playing to advance what I've got. If he's got half guard, then I have half mount. One in, one out. All I'm trying to do is get the other one free. If we get into quarter guard, again, if you and I were partners in something and you own 25% and I own 75%, who's in charge?
75.
Okay? I'm not going to allow you as a 25% shareholder to then dominate our decision making. But guess what? Guess what we do in jiu-jitsu though? We get into that quarter guard and then we go, oh my God, get my ankle free, get it out. Okay? I'm telling you, when you play the position to your strengths, I don't have to pass. He will let me go. When I put my pressures in, then he has to start to defend me. In order for him to get anything into the floor, he has to let me go in order to get his feet to really start to be able to put any kind of real pressures. But if I start to defend, then I'm actually playing his game. Okay? So this time we go in, we're chest to chest, and I made it to where I would like to be. Okay? But here's Matt, he's framed up, he's doing everything like he should. So we're just gonna do the same motion. We're gonna do the dive a couple times. I'm gonna put my arm over his head and neck. I personally don't like being here when I go into my reverse Kesa. I prefer to be over or over. Okay? This is preferred, but Matt's got something to say about that. So I like to be here. You can kind of see how I'm kind of pinching his arm. Okay? Then I lean in and switch my hips. Now I'm into my reverse Kesa. My leg is already starting to get my knee to go straight up and down. Go into your gunfighter, collect your gun, push into that knee, and pull your knee as far as you can. If it comes all the way out, you're done. That's the bonus though. All I anticipate is this. Okay? I drive to get my knee to the floor. Okay? From here now, we're gonna go slightly different. Okay? Because from here I am gonna play to try to get freedom. I'm gonna take my hand right from here. I just finished my gunslinger. I'm gonna slide up. I don't wanna get under his elbow. Okay? So now my body is gonna go from the right side, and as I start to shift over to my left, my right knee is going to pick up, and I'm gonna slide over into traditional Kesagatami over the top. Make sure you have that underhook in play before you make that transition, and then as soon as you're in, start to collect his elbow so that he can't just turtle up and take away all of my hard work. Because I know some people don't care about points, but I do care about losing position. Okay, so guess what? You just told me you care about points too. Okay, because if you like losing position, then you're losing points. And if you like establishing position, if I just simply make that transition and he turtles up on me, we're playing a whole different ball game now. Okay, so I want to make sure I can keep him in that bottom side control in the play. So when we make our transition, come in, push, knee to the ground, collect the underhook, square. As I make my shift, all we're gonna do from here is just pick up our knee, shift it over the hip, and then make your slide. Okay? My feet literally are in the floor. That's what's helping me lift up. And then I'm just taking my knee from one side of the hip to the other, put it back down. And then again, you'll feel how the avalanche of pressure just kind of helps you slide right out of the position. One more time. So again, I'm in, over the top. I push in to swivel instantly into my gunfighter. There goes my knee, collect the underhook. As I make my shift, my knee goes from one side to the other, collect, and secure your side control. In tournament play, how many points would that be?
For the pass?
It was a whole bunch of motion,
That's 2 points, right?
That
But I did
but there was only one pass, 3
Right.
points.
3 points.
And that was the final pass.
That was at the end.
Right.
The other side.
Whole lot of motion,
For 3 points.
whole lot of stuff
Three.
for 3. But again,
Control though.
what are points awarded for?
Dictating the pay, you're dictating.
Dictating the positions, dictating who is in charge. And so, like I said, if at that moment Matt were to turtle up on me and get to his knees,
Then you
No
also
points.
got
there is no
that.
points. But guess what? There also is no control.
You're gonna hope you have the next piece in your pocket.
And at that moment, we're into a scramble, we're into a dogfight to see who gets the next position. Because he went from arguably an inferior position as I started to pass, and then started to work his way up. Now he's on his knees. Now he's got pressure. Now he's starting to hand fight with me. Again, whether you like points or not, this is what the points represent during the matchup. And so realistically speaking, either you like being in control or you don't. If you like being in control, then you like points. If you don't like being in control, then you like losing. All right, let's give it a shot. What's called a waterfall pass from that half guard. It's all the same thing. We're just hitting it from different environments. The dive pass is from an open source. So when we're doing a dive pass, as I'm here, okay, my elbow comes across the hips, okay, and then we do that cartwheel you did when you were 5 years old, when you sucked at it, okay. Elbow goes down, and that's your dive pass. And again, let the weight sink into the ground. Don't try to hover. Don't try to prevent your partner from experiencing the full, everything. Let them carry that weight, because otherwise you're doing a dishonesty to yourself. In the middle of your roll, if you're trying to hold yourself back, then you're fighting both yourself and your partner at the same time. I mean, if you want to increase your chances of losing, that's a great way of doing it. Okay? So again, the dive pass is typically elbow over and across the hip, and then allow that really sucky 5-year-old cartwheel and let yourself just come to that resting position. Okay? When we go into the waterfall pass, we're chest to chest. And again, I prefer as much as possible when I go into reverse Kessa, which is really the same hip switch as going into a dive pass. Okay? I prefer to put my arm over the top, but because from here I don't have freedom, it just turns into being a little bit different. My left knee slides to my right knee, and we go into exactly the same or extremely similar dive pass finale. The only difference is when we go into reverse Kessa, my legs are free. When I'm in half guard, he's controlling one of my legs, but it's all the same variation. It's the same twisting of the hips to generate that torsion when we go in. So now we're going to go into another variation. I'm in, I'm pinning. I like to go into a staple, lock his shoulder, okay? Through here, I'm going to use my pry bar to pick his head up, expose his armpit, and go into my happy birthday. And now from here, we're going to go into our dive pass or our reverse Kessa. The only difference is through here, because I have preloaded Matt's shoulders, when I go to twist his hips the opposite direction, okay, he's not going to like it. So he's going to have a choice to make. I either let go, okay, or continue to get cranked. So when I go in here, remember the motion, it's my left knee acting like it's trying to replace my right knee. So as I go here, there goes my left knee like it's trying to replace. But because I'm holding on to the stockade, that now as I put pressure to go back, his hips can't make that transition. So now I can keep the stockade and or happy birthday and or neck crank, however you like to refer to it. Okay, it's basically a one-handed full Nelson. Controls his upper body so that when I make the hip switch, he's forced to look that way. When I make his legs twist the opposite direction. Okay, and so ultimately speaking, this puts him into what I call the heavy half. He would prefer, when I'm in half guard, he would prefer to be on his side facing me, and I'm going to make him do the exact opposite. I'm going to make him put his weight on the other side. So one more time. I'm in, control, I go underneath, karate chop the shoulder, gable grip your hands, push your elbow to the ground so he can't get the underhook, pry bar his head, and make him get to the heavy half. Open, so I can get to his armpit. Notice how it's a double staple till I get to the armpit. Then I come in to control the elbow, pull his shoulder backwards, and now from here, there's my one-handed full Nelson. As I throw the one-handed full Nelson, switch, this is my dive pass, okay, keeping the pressure on the head, control the hips, and now I'm into my side control with my stockade or my happy birthday, because it's always my birthday. Let's get a shot. 1, 2, 3. My quarter guard, or my 3/4 mount, I open him up, I dive in, hit my reverse Kesa position, blah, 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 gunslinger push, slide my knee through. From here, when I make my transition, okay, I'm stepping back off the hip, and then from here, I'm looking to triangle my own legs, mainly because my knees are trash. And if I don't, I can't take the knee pressure that comes with the Berimbolo. A lot of people can do the Berimbolo without locking their legs together. Like I said, for me, it's just literal trash. So this little back step already starts to twist my hips. If I'm here, my hips are literally facing this direction, okay? When I make that little back step, you see my toes picking up, so I can make my transition. And now, my hips are facing almost a whole 90 degrees to go out towards the feet, okay? Then from here, you can go into an easy shoulder roll. So to make it easy, I'm just gonna put my hand on the ground. This one is going to reach under, and I'm gonna go for the far side leg. This gives me the ability of stopping here, and I don't have to feel like I need to go all the way through. Okay, if for some reason I miss, okay, from here, my hands are going to start to collect to his hips, his elbow, his shoulder. Okay, if I can't get a hold of that, start to collect into the hips. So now I'm going to push my legs forward. Then my hand can go from the hip up into the shoulder. I can go into a crossbody lock from here. Okay, which we know from the crossbody lock, we can then go into a whole other series of different attacks, or we can go into collecting the back from that position. For myself, where I always screwed up was I always thought during the Berimbolo was about kicking him through, and it is as far from the truth as possible. Okay? In the beginning, when I go here and I reach, okay, bring your knees to your own chest, become a ball. Now that I'm here, now I can extend. But don't try to extend early, extend after the roll has established. Because like I said, the whole time, I always thought that once I got into position, okay, and I'm here, that as soon as I made my dive, It was about kicking my legs through to make the roll happen, okay? And it is as far from that. When I hook up and I go through and I drop my shoulder right here, pull your knees to your chest, become the tightest ball that you can. And like I said, right from here, if I can't get his toes, then from here, I'll start to collect his hip. From here, that can then go from hip to shoulder. Again, I can go cross body lock on the body, go into a back take, go into whatever you pretty much like from there. But as I tell people, ultimately at the end of the day, why we train jiu-jitsu makes a big difference. What do you train for? That's your choice. I don't get to pick my opponent's choices. So ultimately, I learn everything in jiu-jitsu possible, and then I choose my expression, but I don't get to pick my opponents. To say nobody will ever berimbolo in MMA would be a lie. It's already happened. It's happened more than once. And if you're not prepared for it, don't know what it looks like, as I said, ignorance should never be what you stand behind as saying, well, that's the reason why I'm not going to learn it, 'cause I'll never do it. Well, again, I don't get to pick what my opponent will do. But they will try it, and if you've never seen it, guess what? You probably will fall victim simply because you've chosen to hide behind that amazing word called ignorance, even though it's not your expression. Again, I don't get to pick and choose what my opponents will or won't do. And so ultimately, I try to learn everything that I can, and then I compartmentalize my styles. I have 3 different styles distinctly that I roll with. One is for fun, one is for winning. Okay, they're not the same. They are very different styles. But my fun is where I hone all those techniques to figure out how I modify what wins. Because when I look at positions over here and I go, well, that position I keep getting stuck in, then I go over here to my playful style and try out new things. And then I go, okay, this seems to be working. Now let's pressure test it. And let's go over here and see if it still works. So again, you play with the multiple styles because we can't, if you just do the same repetitive piece over and over and over again, then ultimately at that point in time, I mean, you might not progress anything further than what you did as white belt because you're not literally adding anything into your arsenal. All right, let's give that cut shot a couple times.